Think of a time you were walking through your day and something so precise, so oddly timed, landed in your path that it stopped you cold. Maybe it was a word you needed to hear, overheard from a stranger. Maybe it was a song that played at the exact moment your thoughts were spiraling, or a number sequence glowing from a clock, one that somehow felt as if it had been waiting for you. The mind wants to brush it off, to protect its old model of the world, but your intuition whispers, "This is not meaningless." That whisper grows louder each time, and before long you are confronted with the impossible question: are you finding the pattern, or is the pattern finding you? Here lies the paradox that unsettles the logical mind. If the universe is truly random, why does it feel like synchronicities accelerate when you are on the verge of a personal breakthrough? Why do the signs multiply in the moments when you begin to shift direction, change belief, or step into a new version of yourself? If you reduce life to accident, you're left with absurdity. But if you dare to consider that reality is alive, conscious, and communicative, then synchronicities transform from trivial quirks into signals of alignment. This is the first fracture in the old belief, the first invitation to see through the veil. There's a hidden danger in brushing them off. Dismissing signs as coincidence may keep you comfortable, but it also locks you out of a deeper dialogue with reality. Your subconscious mind is constantly scanning the environment, processing millions of data points beyond your awareness. It filters, it highlights, it selects. Why do certain events rise to the surface, as if underlined in neon? Because they resonate with your inner state. The field of perception doesn't deliver random scraps, it mirrors the frequency you emit. Yet here's the incomplete puzzle that keeps the brain hungry. If synchronicities mirror us, why do they often carry wisdom beyond what we consciously know? The answer is more layered than you think, and we'll get there. To break the pattern of passivity, you must confront this unsettling possibility. Maybe you are not walking through a dead world, but through a living matrix of meaning. Every time you tell yourself, "It's just chance," you silence a message intended for you. The real interruption comes when you dare to flip the story. What if randomness is the true illusion? What if order has been hiding in plain sight, and you've been conditioned not to see it? That thought alone disrupts the mental autopilot. It shakes the old programming just enough for curiosity to slip in. And curiosity is the crack where transformation begins. Synchronicities in this light are not interruptions to life. They are life itself, breaking through your denial. They are not rare but constant, waiting for your perception to sharpen. The question is not whether the signs are there. The question is whether you are willing to look. And the moment you start to look, everything changes. You begin to notice how the same book shows up in conversations with different people, how the same symbol appears in dreams and waking life, how the same lesson whispers through multiple channels until you cannot ignore it. Reality repeats itself until you finally respond. Here's the trap most people fall into. They assume that because they can't explain it, it must not matter. But explanation is not the same as significance. Science once dismissed electricity as invisible nonsense. The invisible often precedes the undeniable. In the same way, synchronicities are not yet mapped by equations, but they are traced by experience. And the fact that you're even watching this, hearing these words at this precise moment, might itself be part of the web. A gentle interruption. A reminder that you are not drifting through randomness but swimming in signals. The more you fight it, the more persistent the patterns become. The more you open to it, the more coherent and elegant the timing feels. It is as if the universe plays a private symphony with you as both the instrument and the audience. Each note, each repetition, is designed to pull you deeper into resonance with the path you are meant to walk. But don't mistake this for fate written in stone. The puzzle is incomplete on purpose. You are given just enough to continue, never the entire picture at once. That missing piece is what keeps you moving forward. That gap is where free will and destiny intersect. So the paradox sharpens. You are both author and reader of your life, both sender and receiver of the signals. Randomness dissolves into alignment once you admit the possibility that you are entangled with a larger field of intelligence. You don't yet have all the answers. You don't yet know what the signs are building toward. And that's precisely why you keep watching, keep listening, Keep noticing. Because the patterns are not random and deep down, you've always known that the signs were there, waiting, following, aligning. If the first shock comes from realizing that synchronicities feel too precise to be random, the second shock comes when you realize that science itself has been brushing against this mystery for decades. At the microscopic level, particles do not behave like solid billiard balls. They exist in clouds of probability, waves of possibility that collapse only when observed. This is not philosophy, it is quantum mechanics, and the moment you bring awareness into the equation, the invisible threads of potential reorganize into form. Could it be that the same principle that governs electrons is also weaving meaning through your everyday life? That what feels like coincidence is, in fact, the collapse of possibility into precise aligned events. Your brain is not a passive receiver, it is an active sculptor of perception. Neuroscience tells us that out of the billions of bits of information available at any moment, the brain filters almost all of them out. It keeps only what matches your current model of reality. This is called selective attention, and it explains why, when you buy a new car, you suddenly start seeing that exact model everywhere. But here's the deeper twist. Selective attention is not only filtering for objects, it is filtering for meaning. The signs you notice are not random because they are resonant with your inner state. The brain is literally wiring itself to see what you vibrationally tune to. And yet, even this explanation leaves something out. If it were just a trick of attention, then synchronicities would feel hollow, meaningless, like noticing clouds shaped as animals. But what you feel in your body when a true synchronicity lands is different. It's electric, it's charged, it carries an emotional frequency that makes your skin tingle and your heart quicken. Psychology calls this numinosity, the sensation of sacred presence. The body doesn't lie, it knows when something is more than coincidence. That charge is evidence of coherence between you and the larger field. You are not just noticing, you are entangled. Quantum physics gives us another clue. When two particles become entangled, they remain linked across time and space. Change one and the other responds instantly, faster than light. Einstein called it spooky action at a distance because it violated his logic. But perhaps synchronicities are the macroscopic echo of the same principle. You make an inner shift, change a belief, expand an intention, and the external world rearranges itself in resonance. The sign that appears is not random. It is evidence of entanglement between your inner frequency and the field of reality itself. Still, a mystery lingers. How does your private intention ripple out into the fabric of the external world? Here is where spirituality had language long before science dared to look. Neville Goddard spoke of imagination as the creative force of the universe, insisting that your inner state precedes external fact. Joe Dispenza speaks of coherence between brain and heart, measurable in electromagnetic fields, showing how elevated emotion plus clear intention produces measurable impact in the quantum field. And Amit Goswami has written about consciousness as the ground of being, suggesting that matter itself arises from consciousness rather than the other way around. These are not poetic metaphors. They are bridges between what we can measure and what we can feel. But wait, the puzzle is not complete. If synchronicities are simply the brain noticing patterns, why do they often precede external shifts you could not have predicted? Why does a number sequence appear before a life event unfolds, as if reality is announcing itself in advance? Traditional science does not yet have the vocabulary for pre-causal order, but physics is inching closer. Experiments in retrocausality suggest that choices in the present may influence outcomes in the past. In other words, the timeline is not as linear as we think. Synchronicities may be the smoke rising from the fire of non-linear time, clues that your consciousness is brushing against events before they fully arrive. This is where curiosity loops become unavoidable, because if time is not linear, then what does it mean to align with a timeline? Does your awareness shift into the future, pulling events toward you? Or do events already exist in parallel, waiting for your vibration to tune into them like a radio station? Both models collapse into the same revelation. You are not a victim of chance. You are a participant in a multi-layered field of possibilities. Each alignment is a thread pulling you deeper into coherence with the version of reality you are embodying. Here's a simple but profound pattern interrupt. Think of how your GPS works. You set a destination, and though the journey may twist and turn, you keep receiving signals. Turn here, slow down there, recalculate when you drift off. Synchronicities are not the destination. They are the recalculations, the constant affirmations that you are locking onto a frequency. Ignore them and you still move, but with static and delay. Follow them and the path becomes smoother, more elegant, more improbable in its precision. But the science alone does not satisfy. It gives mechanisms, not meaning. Meaning emerges when you integrate the scientific frame with the spiritual one, when you realize that every synchronicity is both a neurological filter and a metaphysical message. It is your brain aligning with your vibration, and the universe aligning with your intention simultaneously. This is the paradox. It is both internal and external, both psychological and cosmic. And the truth lives in the tension between the two. So when you dismiss synchronicities as random, you are not just ignoring patterns, you are amputating half of reality. The invisible threads exist whether you acknowledge them or not, but when you do, life shifts from chaos to choreography. The invisible becomes visible, the noise becomes a signal, and suddenly what once felt accidental begins to look like alignment. Yet we still haven't answered the most pressing question. If synchronicities are a language, how do you learn to read them? And why do they cluster more intensely at certain thresholds of transformation? Those are the secrets waiting in the next part of this journey. Every culture has discovered that the universe speaks in signs, but very few people have learned to listen. To some, these signals arrive as numbers repeating like echoes across their day. To others, it's the sudden reappearance of a long-forgotten friend at the precise moment they needed a reminder of their past. For others still, it's dreams blending seamlessly with waking reality, symbols migrating between worlds as if to insist that nothing is truly separate. What unites all of these is the sense that life itself is trying to hold a conversation with you. And yet, most people walk through it like tourists in a foreign country, surrounded by a language they never learned to speak. Consider the experience of seeing 11:11 on a clock, not once but repeatedly, always when you are thinking about a question you haven't yet spoken aloud. Rational explanation dismisses it as probability, but deep down, your body doesn't react to probability, it reacts to resonance. You feel the pull because your inner state is synchronizing with an external symbol. The numbers become shorthand for alignment, a punctuation mark reminding you that your thoughts and the field are dancing in rhythm. This is not coincidence, it is communication. And like all languages, the more you engage, the richer it becomes. Jung, the psychologist who popularized the term synchronicity, understood this. He said that symbols are the psyche's way of bridging the conscious and the unconscious. A symbol does not explain, it suggests. It carries layers of meaning without collapsing into one answer. This is why synchronicities often arrive in symbolic form. They are not meant to give you a straight line. They are meant to pull you deeper into the spiral of awareness. The number, the symbol, the encounter, it's all the psyche's way of telling you. You are in dialogue with the larger field. The outer world is answering an inner question you barely knew you were asking. But here's where the curiosity gap opens wide. If synchronicities are a language, who exactly is speaking? Is it your higher self? Is it the collective unconscious, a vast web of archetypal meaning? Or is it the universe itself, conscious and deliberate, threading messages through your daily life? The truth may be all of the above, layered together, impossible to separate. That uncertainty is not a flaw. It is the very thing that keeps the language alive. A message too clear becomes static. A message with mystery keeps you engaged. That's how the brain works. It craves completion. And synchronicities exploit that craving, offering you just enough to pull you forward but never enough to let you stop searching. Think about it. When you begin to notice patterns, you don't feel finished. You feel hungry for more. You want to decode, to map, to find the hidden grammar beneath the signs. That hunger is itself part of the communication. The universe doesn't hand you a finished script. It gives you fragments, scattered clues, pieces of an incomplete puzzle. Noticing them is the first stage, decoding them is the second. Embodying what they point to, that is the real initiation. The language of synchronicities is not academic, it is transformative. It is designed not to inform you, but to change you. A story illustrates this better than theory. A woman begins seeing butterflies everywhere. At first it seems like nothing, just nature doing its thing. But then the butterflies appear in books, in songs, in artwork given by friends. The symbol multiplies until she cannot ignore it. Later, she realizes it began when she was contemplating a major transformation in her life, leaving a job that drained her spirit. The butterflies were not predicting her choice. They were affirming it, surrounding her with the energy of metamorphosis before she even acted. That's the power of symbolic language. It doesn't impose, it reflects. It doesn't instruct, it invites. And the moment she aligned with it, the transformation became inevitable. But be careful. This language does not follow the rules of linear logic. It is poetic, metaphorical, layered. If you expect the signs to hand you answers like a calculator, you'll be disappointed. The signs are less about what should I do, and more about who am I becoming. They don't dictate action, they reveal alignment. This is why two people can experience the same event, and one shrugs it off while the other feels transformed. The difference is not in the event, but in the resonance. Language is only alive to those who can hear it. The brain itself seems designed for this. Neuroscience shows us that pattern recognition is one of its most primal functions. Our ancestors survived by detecting shapes in the dark, movements in the forest, patterns in the stars. But in the modern world, that same capacity is hijacked by symbols of survival, logos, notifications, alerts. Synchronicities break through this hijacking. They interrupt the normal patterns with something deeper, something that feels like it belongs to the original function of the brain, to notice signals of alignment with life itself. This is not superstition, it is evolution repurposed for awakening. Here's the unfinished piece. If synchronicities are a language, then there must be grammar, rules, a structure. But what are they? This is where the curiosity loop tightens. Because the rules are not external, they are internal. Your personal history, your archetypes, your emotional states shape the way the universe speaks to you. The grammar is customized. No book can give you the dictionary of your signs. Only you can. Which means learning this language is less about memorization and more about intimacy. With yourself, with your inner state, with the rhythm of your own timeline. And yet, when enough people share the same symbols, we begin to glimpse the collective vocabulary. Numbers, animals, dreams, repeated encounters, they form the alphabet of the field. But the way they combine, the way they punctuate your specific journey, that is unique to you. Which means synchronicities are not proof of destiny written by someone else. They are proof that you are co-authoring your path in real time. They are a language that reminds you, you are not wandering through randomness. You are in conversation with reality itself. The question that remains is not, are synchronicities real? You already feel they are. The question is, why do they intensify when you begin to shift timelines? Why do the signs multiply at thresholds, clustering like markers on the edge of transformation? That secret unfolds in the next stage of the journey. And when you see it, the entire map of your life may begin to look very different. You've probably noticed something strange. The moments when your life feels most unstable, most uncertain, are often the very moments when synchronicities begin to flood in. When you change a job, end a relationship, move to a new place, or even shift an internal belief, the signs multiply. Numbers repeat constantly. Conversations line up with your private thoughts. Dreams mirror your waking concerns. It's as if the universe raises its volume, surrounding you with undeniable echoes. Why? Because when you shift timelines, when your vibration begins to detach from one reality and link to another, the field reacts with coherence. The patterns that once matched your old self fade, and new ones begin to announce themselves, like lights flickering on a path you are just starting to walk. Think of reality as a spectrum of frequencies, each timeline vibrating with its own unique rhythm. You are not locked into one. You are fluid, moving with your state of being. When you inhabit one identity, one set of beliefs, you resonate with one version of the world. But the moment you expand or contract your vibration, the resonance changes. Suddenly, the outer world must reconfigure to match. Synchronicities are the footprints of that reconfiguration. They appear not as random decoration but as markers showing that the field is aligning around your new trajectory. They multiply because you are literally crossing thresholds, stepping into a resonance that has not yet stabilized. And so the field floods you with confirmation to guide you deeper. Science offers a metaphor for this. In quantum physics, when a system shifts from one state to another, it does not do so silently. It releases energy, oscillates, sometimes even appears unstable before settling into coherence. Think of water heating toward boiling point. At first, the molecules move faster, bumping chaotically, producing bubbles that rise unpredictably. Then suddenly, a threshold is crossed, and boiling becomes continuous, ordered, inevitable. Your consciousness operates in a similar way. Before you settle into a new reality, the signs bubble up chaotically, insisting that you are at the threshold of transformation. The flood of synchronicities is not random. It is the turbulence of timelines colliding and then stabilizing into a new order. Spiritually, this has always been understood. Shamans, mystics, and visionaries all describe thresholds as marked by omens. The ancient world never assumed that signs were meaningless. They assumed the opposite, that when life intensifies, when old structures dissolve, the universe speaks louder, what modern language calls coincidence, ancient wisdom called alignment. The ancients knew that when you walk between worlds, you need guides. Synchronicities are those guides. They are the compass that does not point north but points inward, to the timeline you are resonating with. Here's the curiosity gap. If synchronicities multiply when you are shifting, how do you know which ones to trust? How do you distinguish between noise and signal? Between fear-projecting patterns and the field delivering guidance? This is where embodiment matters. The signs that belong to your shift carry resonance in the body. They are not hollow. They are charged, almost magnetic. They arrive with timing that feels surgical, designed to pierce through doubt. You don't just see them, you feel them. That's how you know the difference. The body becomes the tuning fork that confirms the alignment. And this leads to the deeper revelation. Synchronicities do not exist to impress you, they exist to transform you. They are not fireworks, they are milestones. Every sign is a mirror asking, are you willing to keep walking this new path? Are you willing to embody the version of yourself that this timeline requires? Ignore them, and the path becomes slower, cloudier, filled with static. Follow them, and the path becomes clear, luminous, undeniable. They multiply at thresholds because the stakes are higher. Your choices echo louder. Your vibration recalibrates faster. The signs are not decoration. They are the navigation system of consciousness itself. Think of it this way. You are standing at a crossroads. The old path is familiar, predictable, lined with patterns you already know. The new path is mysterious, unstable, but alive with possibility. Which way do you walk? Synchronicities appear like torches along the uncertain road, whispering, "This way, keep going, you are not lost." And every time you trust them, the torches multiply, guiding you deeper into coherence. They multiply because you need them most when you're about to step into the unknown. But here's the paradox you must hold. The signs won't carry you. They won't make the choice for you. They can only reflect your alignment. You still must step. You still must act. The signs are proof of resonance, not substitutes for courage. They don't remove the leap of faith. They amplify the evidence that you are not leaping into nothing, but into a timeline already waiting for you. That is why they are so intoxicating. They remind you that your inner world and the universe are not separate, but two mirrors reflecting one another. Pause for a moment and think, What signs have been multiplying around you lately? What numbers, what phrases, what repeating symbols have been chasing you through your days? These are not decorations. These are confirmations. They are telling you that you are already in motion, already shifting, already aligning with a new reality. You may not see the full picture yet, but the signals are everywhere. The more you honor them, the louder they become. The more you dismiss them, the quieter your own intuition grows. And this is where your power lies. You are not meant to collect signs like trophies. You are meant to embody them. To live as though the alignment is already true. To walk in resonance with the timeline you are claiming. That is why I want you to anchor this truth right now in the comments below, not as a casual action, but as a declaration of alignment. I walk in alignment with my timeline. Write it, feel it, and let the act of declaring it become your signal back to the field. Because when you declare alignment, the universe responds in kind. So the multiplication of signs is not random, it is necessary. It is the turbulence of timelines, the chorus of the field, the guiding system of an intelligent universe. The question now is, what do you do with these fragments, these glowing markers of destiny? How do you hold them when they never give you the complete picture? Only pieces of a puzzle left unfinished? That is the mystery we will step into next, and it may change the way you see your path forever. Every synchronicity feels like a piece of a larger picture, but never the whole thing. This is not an accident. The signs arrive incomplete because their power lies in movement, not in finality. They are meant to keep you searching, adjusting, aligning. Imagine if every signal you received handed you the entire roadmap of your life. The mystery would vanish, the tension would dissolve, and with it, your evolution would stall. The universe does not operate like a manual. It operates like a mosaic, giving you fragments just enough to make you curious, just enough to pull you forward, but never enough to let you stop. That is the design. Think about how a puzzle works. At the beginning, the pieces feel random, scattered, confusing. You don't know where each one belongs. But over time, patterns emerge. Corners lock into place, edges begin to frame the whole. You still don't see the complete picture, but your intuition grows sharper with every connection. Synchronicities function exactly like this. Each event is a fragment of a higher pattern. At first it feels disjointed, but as you collect them, a hidden order emerges. The incomplete nature of the signs is not a flaw. It is the very mechanism that keeps you evolving into the version of yourself capable of seeing the bigger picture. But here's the paradox. While the puzzle is never finished, each fragment feels complete in itself. A repeating number doesn't carry the entire map of your destiny, but in that moment it feels perfect, whole, undeniable. That wholeness is what convinces you to trust the process. And then just when you think you've decoded the message, another piece arrives, contradicting or expanding what you thought you knew. This cycle is endless, but it's not cruel. It is the rhythm of growth, the design of transformation. You are meant to live inside the unfolding, not to jump to the final page. Science has its version of this mystery. In chaos theory, complex systems appear random, but actually follow hidden patterns. You cannot predict the exact outcome, but you can see the shape of order within the apparent noise. Weather, ecosystems, even the human brain, all of them operate under this principle. Synchronicities may be the personal experience of this same dynamic, life appearing chaotic, but holding an underlying fractal order that only reveals itself piece by piece. Each sign is like a snapshot of the larger fractal, but never the full image. That is why they are so addictive. The brain craves completion, but the universe withholds just enough to keep you leaning forward. Spiritually, this is echoed in every tradition. The mystic said, "You are given your daily bread, not the bread for the year, not the bread for the decade, just enough for today." In the same way, synchronicities provide daily bread for the soul, clues and confirmations for the step you are on, but never the full staircase. This protects you from collapsing under the weight of knowledge you are not yet ready to carry. It also protects the integrity of free will. If you saw the entire puzzle in advance, your choices would become mechanical. The incomplete puzzle is the safeguard of freedom. Here's the pattern interrupt you must hold. The signs are not about proving destiny. They are about shaping you into the person who can live destiny. They don't answer the question, what will happen? They provoke the deeper question, who am I becoming in response to this? That is the true alchemy. The fragments are not there to give you certainty. They are there to give you transformation. The uncertainty is the tool. The gaps are the initiation. Consider a man who begins seeing feathers everywhere. At first, he thinks it's coincidence, but they multiply. On the street, in books, even in dreams. He interprets them as a message of lightness, of surrender. So he begins to let go of rigid control in his life. Months later, he realizes that the feathers were never about predicting an external event. They were about initiating an internal state. They were puzzle pieces designed to change who he was, not to tell him what would happen. That is the secret most people miss. The signs are not predictors, they are sculptors. They shape your consciousness more than they inform your intellect. And yet, the incomplete puzzle leaves you with an ache. You want the whole picture. You want to know why. You want to see the end. But here is the curiosity loop. Perhaps the ache is the point. Perhaps the longing for completion is the fuel that keeps you aligned, keeps you moving, keeps you co-creating. Without the ache, you would drift back into autopilot. The ache is what wakes you up every time you notice a new fragment. It keeps you asking, keeps you watching, keeps you listening. Incomplete by design, but complete in effect. So the question becomes, how do you live inside a puzzle that will never be finished? The answer is simple, though not easy. You stop demanding completion, and you start celebrating fragments. You recognize that each synchronicity is enough for this moment. You let the fragment change you, without needing to know the whole picture. And in doing so, you align with the deeper intelligence that is guiding the process. The puzzle is incomplete, but your alignment is whole. The fragments are scattered, but your resonance is intact. That is the secret posture of one who walks in coherence. And as you learn to live this way, something remarkable happens. You realize that the puzzle was never external at all. It was always a mirror of your internal evolution. The incomplete picture out there was only reflecting the incomplete picture within you. And as you grow, as you align, as you embody, the fragments shift, new ones appear, and the mosaic of your life becomes more radiant, more undeniable, still incomplete but breathtaking in its beauty. So when you look at the signs and feel the frustration of not knowing everything, remember, you are not supposed to know everything. You are supposed to know enough to take the next step. And that is enough, always enough. The incomplete puzzle is not a barrier to destiny. It is the essence of destiny. It is the way the universe teaches you to trust, to move, to become. The fragments are here. They are multiplying. The puzzle is unfolding. And the final piece, the one that ties everything together, is not given. It is lived, which means you are not just solving the puzzle. You are becoming the missing piece. By now you can feel it. Synchronicities are not accidents, not random sparks thrown off by a chaotic machine. They are codes. They are fragments of a larger language written into the very fabric of existence. The question is no longer whether the signs are real. The question is, will you live as one who notices them or as one who dismisses them? The choice is the difference between drifting blind through a maze and walking consciously with a map that updates itself at every turn. To live as a decoder of reality is to embrace the truth that meaning is not waiting to be discovered out there. It is woven into the interaction between your inner frequency and the field itself. Every time you honor a synchronicity, you sharpen your ability to read the language of alignment. You begin to see life less as a sequence of accidents and more as a dialogue. The universe whispers, and you respond. You declare an intention, and the field echoes back. Over time, this exchange deepens into trust. The incomplete puzzle stops frustrating you and begins to exhilarate you. You no longer demand certainty, because you realize that certainty was never the point. Coherence is. Alignment is. The dance between signal and response is itself the destination. Neuroscience supports this posture. Studies show that when the brain encounters novelty, something surprising but meaningful, it enters heightened states of neuroplasticity. In other words, synchronicities literally rewire your brain. They break the trance of routine and open new pathways of perception. Spiritually, this is no accident. The signs arrive to interrupt the old self and make space for the new. Every time you pay attention to them, you are not just decoding reality. You are becoming someone new. You are rehearsing alignment, sculpting your consciousness, activating a timeline in which you are more coherent, more awake, more magnetic. But living as a decoder means more than collecting signs for yourself. It means embodying the awareness that the field is always speaking, to you, through you, around you. Your presence becomes part of the communication. When you live in alignment, you become a sign for others. Your choices, your coherence, your resonance send ripples into the field that trigger synchronicities for the people around you. That is how the web expands. It is not only about decoding, it is about transmitting. You become both reader and message, both seeker and guide. Here lies the deeper invitation: to stop treating synchronicities as rare anomalies and start treating them as the baseline of an awakened life. Signs are not extraordinary, they are constant. What is rare is the willingness to notice, to trust, to embody them. The decoder does not wait for miracles. The decoder recognizes that every moment is already miraculous, coded, alive with meaning. This shift from rarity to constancy changes everything. It moves you from being a passive witness to being an active participant in the unfolding of your timeline. And this brings us to the most liberating truth. You are not just watching timelines. You are aligning with them. Every thought, every state of being, every declaration of alignment is tuning you to one version of reality over another. Synchronicities are not telling you what will happen. They are telling you what you are already resonating with. They are the mirrors of your becoming. To live as a decoder of reality is to take responsibility for that resonance. To stop asking, "What does this mean?" and start asking, "What is this showing me about who I am right now?" That is the level of mastery where life ceases to feel random and begins to feel orchestrated. Imagine if more people lived this way. Imagine communities of decoders, people attuned to the dialogue of the field, supporting one another in recognizing signs, celebrating fragments, and embodying alignment. The ripple effect would be profound. Fear would dissolve, replaced by trust. Isolation would fade, replaced by resonance. Life would no longer be endured but decoded, lived as a constantly unfolding revelation. That is not utopia. It is the natural outcome of individuals choosing to live awake, to treat synchronicities not as curiosities, but as the compass of an intelligent universe. So here is your invitation. Stop waiting for the perfect sign. Begin living as the decoder now. Notice what repeats. Trust what resonates. Embody what aligns. When you do, the puzzle of your life will not suddenly complete itself, but you will realize it never had to. The fragments are enough. The alignment is enough, and you are already walking the path you were meant to walk. If you are ready to take this deeper, to move beyond inspiration into practice, I created something for you. It's an ebook called Awaken Your Quantum Power. It comes with a practical guide that helps you apply these teachings in real life, not just understand them. You'll find the link waiting for you in the pinned comment below. No accidents brought you here. The signs were always there. Now it's your turn to live as the decoder of your reality.